Hello again, lore masters and fellow story enthusiasts. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're peeling back the layers of history to uncover the untold chronicles of a name you might only know from whispers in the forgotten corners of the realm, Elias Thorne. Long before he earned the title of Nexus Walker, he was just a man, but a man haunted by a single, all-consuming question: what truly lies beyond the veil of our reality? His quest for answers didn't lead him to dusty libraries or wise old sages. No, his path took him to a place far more formidable: the jagged, unforgiving peaks of the Dragon's Tooth Mountains. This is a place where the air itself grows thin and the very fabric of reality seems to fray at the edges. Now, Elias wasn't your typical hero. He wasn't a warrior clad in steel or a mage wielding elemental fury. He was a scholar of the unseen, a cartographer of cosmic currents, dedicating his life to mapping what others couldn't even perceive. For years, he had pored over ancient, obscure texts that spoke of nexus points, mythical locations where the boundaries of different worlds touched and overlapped. To most, these were just legends, the stuff of children's fairy tales. But Elias was different. He saw patterns where others saw chaos. He found subtle alignments in old celestial charts and geological surveys, a breadcrumb trail of evidence that all pointed to one singular, impossible location: the highest, most treacherous peak of the Dragon's Tooth. His journey to get there was nothing short of grueling. He faced down treacherous blizzards that could freeze a person solid in mere minutes and navigated sheer cliffs that seemed to plunge into an endless, dark nothingness. Before he left, the locals had tried to warn him. They spoke in hushed tones of a silent guardian that protected the mount, a mysterious phantom that left no tracks in the snow. They called it the Silent Hand. Elias, ever the pragmatist, brushed these off as folk tales, stories meant to scare off curious travelers. It was a mistake he would soon realize. Days bled into a week, and as Elias climbed higher, inching closer to the summit, the world around him began to warp. The colors of the sky seemed to deepen into shades he'd never seen, and the stars burned with an unnatural, piercing brightness. A strange, low hum started to vibrate through the very rock beneath his feet, a song of immense and ancient power that was like a siren's call to his scholarly soul. He didn't need a map anymore. He could feel it. He was close. It was on the final, desperate ascent, as he was scrambling over a sharp ridge of obsidian-like rock, that he first felt their presence. It wasn't a sound, and it wasn't a sight. It was a sudden, chilling stillness that descended like a shroud. The howling wind died instantly, the deep hum ceased. An absolute, profound silence fell over the mountain, so heavy and complete it felt like a physical weight pressing down on him. Elias froze, his hand instinctively reaching for the small, iron-bound compass he always carried, a familiar comfort in this increasingly alien landscape. He scanned the desolate, snow-dusted ridge. Nothing. He saw absolutely nothing. Then, out of the very corner of his eye, a flicker of movement, or rather, the lack of it. Standing on a nearby precipice, perfectly silhouetted against the surreal twilight sky, were three figures. They were clad in shifting, gray cloaks that seemed to absorb the light around them, creating pockets of deeper shadow. Their faces were completely obscured by deep hoods, leaving only darkness where features should be. They stood perfectly still, their very existence feeling like a violation of the natural world. This was the Silent Hand. He realized then that they weren't guardians in the way he'd imagined, mob-like beasts or sentinels. They were something else entirely. Gatekeepers. One of the figures slowly raised a hand. It wasn't a threat, not an attack, but a clear, deliberate gesture of acknowledgement. It was a silent question that echoed directly in his mind. Who are you to seek this sacred place? Elias, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs, understood. He didn't draw a weapon or prepare a spell that would be useless here. Instead, he pulled out his worn, leather-bound journal and a small piece of charcoal. With steady, deliberate movements, he began to sketch the constellations in the sky above them. But he didn't draw them as they appeared now. He drew the star map from 1,000 years in the past, a forgotten, complex celestial alignment that his research theorized was the key, the cosmic combination to unlocking a nexus. The figures watched, utterly unmoving. When he finished his drawing, he held the journal up for them to see. For a long, agonizing moment, the entire world seemed to hold its breath. Then, the central figure lowered its hand and gestured towards a narrow, dark passage nestled between two towering spires of rock, a passage Elias was certain hadn't been there moments before. It was an invitation. As he cautiously walked forward, passing between them, he felt a palpable wave of energy wash over him. It wasn't hostile, nor was it friendly. It was simply ancient, impossibly vast, and utterly neutral. He understood then. They weren't there to stop just anyone. They were there to test his intent. He wasn't a conqueror seeking power or a thief seeking riches. He sought knowledge, pure and simple, and for that reason alone, he was deemed worthy. He took a final step and walked through the passage, and the world dissolved. The bitter, biting cold of the mountain peak was gone, replaced by a gentle, inexplicable warmth. The jagged rocks under his boots gave way to a soft, mossy floor. And there, floating before him, was a shimmering, opalescent tear in the very fabric of reality. It pulsed with a soft, white light, and through its translucent surface, he could see glimpses of a world utterly alien, a sprawling forest of glowing crystalline trees under a deep violet sky. This was it, a nexus point, a doorway to another world. The deep hum he'd heard earlier returned, but now it was clearer, a resonant and beautiful melody. It was the sound of creation itself, the music of the multiverse. He had spent his entire life chasing a myth, a legend, and now he was standing on its threshold. This discovery wasn't the end of his journey. It was the explosive, magnificent beginning. Standing before that shimmering portal, Elias Thorne realized his maps, his life's work, were about to get much, much larger. He had found his first nexus, and the infinite cosmos had just opened up before him. His life as a simple scholar was over. His new life, as the Nexus Walker, had just begun. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the lore. What do you think Elias found on the other side of that first portal? Let me know all your amazing theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Until then, keep exploring the lore.